It was a pretty bad day for gold and silver until Donald Trump made an announcement that caused gold and silver's prices to recover from their losses earlier in the day. I'll explain what happened and where we go from here with the precious metals markets as we explore. Yes, indeed. Gold and silver fell earlier today. A pretty big drop for the metals. I mean, not like a huge plunge, but nonetheless, they did fall fairly substantially. Whereas now, moments before the markets close, gold is now in positive territory, and silver indeed has recovered most of its losses. It is still down. In fact, as I report this video right now, silver is down just over a third of a percentage point, down 13 cents to below $37 an ounce again to $36.84. Gold has actually picked up a little bit. It's up $1.61 to $3,337.61. Platinum and palladium took the biggest hits today and are still suffering a bit. They're both down $24 a piece. However, platinum is still doing quite well. I posted a video earlier in the day about platinum. I hope you will check out some good information there. But let's see what's going on with what Donald Trump has mentioned that is causing the precious metals to make a comeback here. Before we get there, earlier in the morning, it was a good time to buy if you had the ability to do so. My friends over at Summit Metals, they have an increasing selection of gold and silver products and platinum now too. So check out summitmetals.com. They got great customer service and fast shipping. So what's going on with the precious metals complex today? Well, in late trading, we can see that they have paired some losses for both gold and silver, with gold hitting in positive territory after President Donald Trump said he'll impose 25% tariffs on goods from Japan and South Korea beginning on August the 1st. The first announcements and what the U.S. president promised would be a flurry of written warnings and trade deals on Monday from Bloomberg, mentioning that there. The move is part of Trump's rush to overhaul U.S. trade policies that have served as a steady source of uncertainty for markets, which has helped bolster demand for gold, which is a safe haven asset as we know. The two Asian nations now have a narrow 3-week window to open their markets to American products and manufacturers more in the U.S. to avoid his unilateral levies. Gold trimmed losses after earlier falling as much as 1.2%, following Trump's July 6 Truth Social post, signaling an additional 10% levy on countries aligned with the BRICS group of nations, which boosted the dollar. The BRICS actually did have a meeting. Some feel that they're working their way to further distance themselves from the SWIFT system and the dollar in general. And so a stronger dollar typically weighs on gold and making it more expensive for buyers than other currencies. Now let's take a look and see exactly what the dollar index is doing right now. Indeed, it is up. It is up to 97.53. That's a 0.59% increase. Still well below the 100 marker. And so the dollar is much weaker than it had been in the past. With the U.S. still in the process of negotiating deals, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent indicated there may be some breathing room for talks since the levies won't take effect until August 1st. Now, I want to pause right there and say that, with the tariffs, I believe that overall across the board, no matter what other nations do, I think there's going to be at least a 10% tariff on most goods and services coming from these nations. I think that's the bottom line. And that's non-negotiable from what I understand, but everything is revolving for sure, or evolving in the world of negotiations, so who knows how that's going to play out. But gold still being up more than 25% this year, trading about $170 shy of a record set back in April of $3,500 an ounce, with investors seeking safety in the metal amid heightened geopolitical and trade tensions. The rally has been supported by flows into bullion-backed exchange-traded funds, plus strong demand from central banks. And we see spot big gold, crossing back over into positive territory barely here and silver continuing to pare its losses too, it is now down only 11 cents. And so it's not that far for silver rather, to reach back over $37 an ounce again. I did a poll on my live stream last night where we watched the markets open in Asia, where silver had really popped out. In fact, it got to a high of $37.27. And so we very well could see that again, especially with this new information coming about trade. There's still a lot of uncertainty out there as August looms, and also other areas in terms of negotiations and where things are going to go with tariffs and trade and the economy. The other event we're watching is the negotiation to end the war in Gaza. If the ceasefire is reached there between the two entities, as Trump is meeting right now with President Benjamin Netanyahu, that very well could help to calm the markets as well, and we could see a further strengthening of the dollar perhaps, and maybe gold and silver fall back a little bit more. But who knows? There's a lot of unknowns here, and there's a lot of things that have happened that I would think would be bad for gold and silver, but they still have gone up in price. So very interesting, but nonetheless, and that's Bloomberg's report there, and it'll be very fascinating to see how this plays out. Apparently, there's been over $100 billion worth of revenue that has come into the United States already from tariffs, and as things get settled in, no matter what that settling in looks like, no matter how much there's going to be levies on goods and services coming into the United States, sooner or later the market will probably react, and it might be even in a positive direction, no matter how the tariffs weigh out, unless there's some crazy number. But the markets like normalcy, and whatever that new normal is, and adjusting to that new normal, whether it be good or bad, they tend to react in a positive way. No matter who's president, no matter what kind of policies are in place, unless it's something that's going to ultimately cripple the economy. And some feel that some of these tariffs will, to some extent. But remember, there's a plus side to the tariffs. Yes, they are a tax. And one can make an argument that most Americans will pay that tax as goods come in. But I believe that there's probably some companies who will probably eat that tax in order to remain competitive with U.S. companies, domestic, that are producing some of the same products and goods and services. So that being said, once that's adjusted and normalized, and revenue comes in, and that revenue goes to pay down the debt and deficit, well, that's probably a good thing, and would bode well for the economy. But who knows where that money is going to go and how it's going to be allocated. There's other factors we have to come into play as we weigh what's going to happen with silver and gold over the next couple of months here, as the summer is well underway. The summer doldrums, less trading that's going to be occurring, which means that the markets may not move as dramatically as they would have in the spring or coming in the fall. And so that is something that we have to keep in mind as well, too. There may be muted trading, but I tell you, it's been exciting to see gold and silver especially start to catch up here, at least to some extent, with gold, and start to perform like many of us feel has been long overdue for the metal. But we're going to continue to watch these markets and watch what they do and make moves accordingly. Now, as I mentioned in a prior video about gold, there's a lot of selling of gold here in the United States. There's a lot of buying in Asia. And in the East in general. With silver, there's also a lot of selling of it as well. That's why some of the premiums have gone down, especially for constitutional. I'm a big fan of stacking constitutional. In fact, I need to get more of it. But nonetheless, that is what we're looking at here. So lower premiums to some extent, at least in some places that you shop around, and you should look out for that. It is, in a sense, I believe, forming a buyer's market out there as prices continue to climb, but nonetheless, we'll see. Now, as far as stacking is concerned and selling is concerned, I believe in stacking, and I believe there are opportunities. Some of you have mentioned, even though I'm one of those that likes to hold, and I encourage you to hold a very large position of your stack, if at all possible. But there are times where you can take advantage in order to sell if the time is right. and the situation warrants it. And that is something you have to be agile and open to. But I believe in owning and holding. I believe that is where you're going to really see the payoff. And what is the payoff for gold and silver? It is defeating the loss of the value of this, the dollar. And it's borne out to be the case. History proves it. No matter what kind of manipulation, suppression is going on, gold and silver will preserve your wealth. So there you have it. Let me know what your thoughts are about this and what Trump is doing. We'll see what other announcements come and that it could weigh on the markets as well. So I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch and check out these 2 videos that I just did and they're posted right here after this. And I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.